The conference chamber aboard Station Meridian was, in a word, ridiculous. 18 species. 18 different atmospheric requirements, 18 sets of translators that kept glitching because the Varoth delegation insisted on speaking in their ceremonial tongue, which apparently consisted of 70% clicking sounds and 30% what I can only describe as aggressive wheezing. I am Kelvin Thrace, Junior Diplomatic Attaché to the Galactic Concordance Council, and I was having the worst rotation of my entire career. The human delegation, announced High Arbiter Ven, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence like some kind of biological traffic light, has arrived. Oh, fantastic. Just what we needed. Another complication. See, humans were new. Like, embarrassingly new. They had only achieved faster than light travel 6 months ago, stumbled into our little corner of the galaxy, and immediately started doing that thing they do. You know, that thing where they act like they own the place, despite being the galactic equivalent of toddlers who just learned to walk. The doors hissed open, environmental filters kicked in, pumping in that disgustingly oxygen-rich atmosphere Deathworlders apparently need to survive, and in walked the human. One human, singular. My anterior sensory nodes tingled with confusion. One representative? For first contact negotiations with 18 species? The arrogance was honestly kind of impressive. She was tall by human standards anyway, maybe 5.8 feet, with dark skin and hair twisted into intricate patterns that defied several laws of physics I was pretty sure still applied on her planet. Her eyes were brown, sharp, and currently scanning the room like a predator evaluating prey. "Ambassador Tessa Wright," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber without any artificial amplification. "Show off. Representing the United Terran Coalition. Thank you for having me." High Arbiter Ven gestured with 2 of his manipulator appendages toward the empty seat, the human's seat, which we had specially prepared, which had cost 17,000 credits to construct because, apparently, humans need something called lumbar support, whatever that meant. "Please, Ambassador Wright, be seated," Ven said, his translator rendering his words into that flat, affectless tone that made everything sound like a customer service recording. "We have much to discuss." Tessa Wright did not sit. Instead, she remained standing, hands clasped behind her back in a posture that read as either military discipline or barely contained violence. With humans, it was probably both. "Before we begin," she said, and oh no, I knew that tone. That was the tone of someone about to make everyone's day significantly worse. "I have reviewed your preliminary demands. All 47 pages of them." Counselor Brent, the Haxian trade minister, leaned forward in his suspension pod. His gill slits fluttered with what I recognized as satisfaction. "Excellent. Then you understand the Concordance position. Your species wishes to join our alliance. You must accept our terms. Standard protocol." "Oh, I understand your position," Tessa said, and I swear there was something sharp in her smile. Something with teeth. "I understand that you want exclusive mining rights to 73% of our asteroid belt. I understand that you expect us to surrender sovereign control of our orbital platforms. I understand that you are demanding access to our genetic databases, our military technology, and our agricultural patents. And I understand that you expect us to limit our fleet to 12 vessels, none exceeding destroyer-class specifications." "Precisely," Brent said. "Your cooperation is appreciated." I am not finished. The temperature in the room dropped. Or maybe that was just my imagination. Maybe that was just the way humans talk, like they are always 3 seconds away from starting a fight. Tessa walked forward, her boots clicking on the chamber floor with a rhythm that sounded almost deliberate, almost threatening. She stopped at the central table, placed both hands on its surface, and leaned forward. "I also understand," she said, her voice dropping to something quieter, something more dangerous, "that every single one of your species has benefited from Concordance membership. Trade routes, technology sharing, mutual defense. You all got something. But here is the interesting part. Can anyone tell me what you all had to give up to join?" Silence. Awkward, heavy silence. "Anyone? No? Let me help." Tessa straightened, began walking around the table in a slow circle. "The Haxians gave up mining rights to 0.3% of their territory. The Verth offered cultural exchange programs. The Zalak contributed their bioscanning technology. Every species here gave something reasonable, something proportional, something that benefited both parties." She stopped walking, turned to face High Arbiter Ven directly, So why exactly do you expect us to give up everything? High Arbiter Ven blinked all four eyes again. I could see his translator working overtime, trying to parse the tone of voice that every species in the room recognized as confrontational. Ambassador Wright, he said carefully, humanity is new to interstellar politics. You lack the infrastructure, the resources, the diplomatic experience. We lack the weakness, Tessa interrupted. Oh no. Excuse me, Vin said. You heard me. Tessa crossed her arms. You want us weak. You want us dependent. You want us locked into treaties that ensure we can never threaten your comfortable little alliance. Because you have all looked at our planet, looked at our gravity, looked at our atmosphere, looked at our predator-to-prey ratio, and you are absolutely terrified. Counselor Brent made a sound like water draining from a damaged tank. Absurd. We fear nothing from your primitive. Earth's gravity is 2.3 times galactic standard, Tessa said, cutting him off with the efficiency of someone who had practiced this speech. Our atmospheric pressure would crush most of your species within minutes. Our oceans have pressures that exceed your deepest submarine capabilities. We evolved from persistence hunters. We have a bite force that can crack bones. We can go weeks without food, days without water. We heal from injuries that would kill most species. We are in every measurable way what you politely call Deathworlders, and you want us neutered. The chamber repeated. 17 voices, 17 languages, 17 different ways of expressing outrage. My sensory nodes were going haywire trying to process all the input. High Arbiter Ven slammed his primary manipulator on the sound resonator, producing a boom that silenced everyone. Ambassador Wright, you are being unnecessarily provocative. Am I? Tessa smiled again. That smile, or am I just being honest? Let me tell you what I think is happening here. I think you all want Earth in the concordance because we have resources you need. Rare minerals, biological diversity, strategic location. But you are afraid of what happens if we become equal partners. So you wrote demands designed to be rejected. You expected us to see these terms, get angry, storm out, and give you the moral justification to classify us as hostile. Then you could take what you wanted by force, claim it was defensive action, and sleep easy knowing you put the scary Deathworlders in their place. The silence that followed was different. Heavier. Because, well, she was not entirely wrong. I had seen the preliminary briefings. I had read the risk assessments. I knew that at least 6 species on the Council had privately advocated for preemptive military action against Earth. Just in case. Just to be safe. Humans, it turned out, were very good at reading rooms. But here is the problem, Tessa continued, her voice dropping to something almost conversational. We are not storming out, we are not getting angry. We are staying right here and we are going to negotiate like adults. So let me make you a counter-offer. Vin's translator made a sound I had never heard before, possibly the mechanical equivalent of choking. Humanity will join the Galactic Concordance, Tessa said, and I could see her enjoying this, enjoying the way everyone leaned forward despite themselves. We will share technology. We will participate in mutual defense. We will open trade, but we do it as equals. 50-50 partnerships, no surrender of sovereignty, no limitations on our fleet, no access to our genetic databases unless it is reciprocal. And most importantly, we want a seat on the Council. Full voting rights. Impossible, Councillor Brent said immediately. Council seats are earned over centuries of— We fought off 3 Krellian raiding parties last month, Tessa said flatly, with 12 ships. The same Krellian raiders who have been terrorizing your outer colonies for 8 years. The same ones you keep sending strongly worded diplomatic protests to. We destroyed their command carrier, captured 2 support frigates, and sent the rest running back to whatever hole they crawled out of. So you tell me, Counselor, how many centuries should that count for? I watched Brent's gill slits flutter rapidly. That was the Haxian equivalent of sputtering. You attacked the Krellians? High Arbiter Ven said, his voice carrying something between horror and fascination. Without Council authorization? They attacked us first, Tessa said with a shrug. We defended ourselves, thoroughly. And now the Krellians are very carefully pretending that entire sector of space does not exist. Funny how that works. This is madness, someone from the back said. I think it was the Paltan representative, but their vocal patterns always confused me. You cannot simply wage war without— We can absolutely wage war, Tessa said. We are extremely good at it. Embarrassingly good. We have been fighting each other for our entire recorded history. We have refined violence into an art form. We have weapons you have not even conceptualized. And that terrifies you, which is why you want us controlled. Which is why we will never accept your term. The chamber erupted again. This time, Vin did not bother trying to restore order. He just sat there, all four eyes fixed on the human ambassador who had somehow taken control of the entire negotiation. I should mention, at this point, that my species, the Relar, are empaths. We read emotional states. It is our whole thing, and right now I was reading fear from at least 12 of the delegates. Not fear of violence, not fear of war, fear of irrelevance. Because Tessa Wright was right. Humanity did not need the concordance. The concordance needed humanity. Ambassador, Vin said finally, his voice carefully neutral, you must understand, your demands are unprecedented. We cannot simply. The alarm cut him off. Not the gentle chime of a scheduled break. The shrieking, brain-melting howl of a Priority 1 emergency. Every delegate's personal communicator activated simultaneously. Holographic displays erupted across the chamber, and I saw with the kind of horrible clarity that makes your insides turn to ice, the tactical readout. 46 Krellian warships. Headed straight for Station Meridian. Estimated arrival 20 minutes. Well, Tessa said into the sudden, terrible silence. That is inconvenient. High Arbiter Ven stared at the tactical display like it had personally betrayed him. This cannot be happening. The Krellians have never attacked a diplomatic station. Never. It violates every treaty. They are pirates, Tessa said, already moving toward the door. Treaties are suggestions. Where is your security chief? Sector Command has been alerted, Ven said, his voice shaking. Response fleet will arrive in 45 minutes. We will all be dead in 45 minutes. The station has defensive systems. I saw your defensive systems on the way in. They are designed to stop smugglers and customs violators, not a full battle fleet. Tessa was at the door now, hand on the panel. Do you have an evacuation protocol? The escape pods can hold. Can they outrun Krellian interceptors? Vin said nothing. Which was answer enough. Tessa turned back to face the chamber. That smile was back. But this time it was different. This time it was the smile of someone who just realized they hold all the cards. Here is what is going to happen, she said. I am going to save all of you. Every single one of you. And when this is over, we are going to renegotiate on my terms. Are we clear? You, Counselor Brent's gill slits, were practically inverted with indignation. You have one ship. One. What could you possibly? I have 3 ships, actually, Tessa said. They are just very good at not being seen. And before you ask, yes, they have been in weapons range this entire time. No, you could not detect them. Yes, that should terrify you. Hold that thought. She tapped her communicator, spoke in rapid human English. Her words were too fast for the translator to keep up, but I caught fragments. Target solutions. Combat spread. Authorization confirmed. Then she looked back at us. Captain Rourke is currently calculating firing solutions for all 46 Krellian ships. Commander Lee is coordinating point defense grids. Lieutenant Takara is working on something she calls electronic warfare, which I am told will make the Krellians very confused and very angry. My people are good at their jobs, but I need something from all of you. What? Then managed to croak, stay out of our way. The next 18 minutes were, without question, the longest of my life. We crowded around the tactical display in the command center, watching 3 human ships that appeared out of absolutely nowhere maneuver into attack positions. The Krellian fleet had spotted them now, was adjusting formation, launching interceptors. They are outnumbered 15-1, someone whispered. Might have been me, I honestly was not sure. Humans specialize in bad odds, Tessa said calmly. She was standing at the command console like she owned it, watching her ships move with the kind of focus that suggested she was experiencing this in slow motion. Captain Rourke once held off an entire pirate armada with a damaged frigate and a sensor buoy. This is practically a vacation for him. The first exchange of fire lit up the tactical display like a festival. Krellian plasma torpedoes streaked toward the human vessels, and then impossibly, they just stopped, detonated in empty space, hundreds of kilometers from their target. What just happened? Then demanded. Electronic warfare, Tessa said, and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. Lieutenant Takara convinced their targeting systems that our ships are somewhere else. Specifically somewhere very far away and also not real. A Krellian destroyer exploded, then another, then 3 more in rapid succession. Your weapons. I heard myself say, what are those? Railguns, Tessa said. Kinetic kill vehicles. Depleted uranium cores, accelerated to 0.4 light speed. No propellant, no heat signature, just physics and geometry. The Krellian's shields are designed to stop energy weapons. These just punch straight through. Another explosion, then another. The Krellian formation was collapsing, ships breaking away, trying to scatter. They are running, Ven said, disbelief coloring every word. They are learning, Tessa corrected. Running implies they have a choice. Captain Rourke is currently demonstrating that they do not. 15 minutes after it started, it was over. 22 Krellian ships were debris. The remaining 24 had jumped to faster than light, retreating so fast their warp signatures were still registering ghost images. Station Meridian was intact. Undamaged. Safe. Everyone in the command center turned to stare at Ambassador Tessa Wright. She stared back. So, she said, her voice cutting through the shocked silence like a scalpel. About those negotiations. High Arbiter Ven opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Equal partnership, he said finally. It was not a question, it was a surrender. Equal partnership, Tessa agreed. Reciprocal technology sharing, no sovereignty violations. Full council seat. And one more thing. What? Ven sounded exhausted. I did not blame him. Humans get veto power on any military action. Because clearly, we are the only ones who know how to actually fight. Counselor Brent made that water-draining sound again. You cannot be serious. Would you like me to ask Captain Rourke to come explain it in person? He still has ammunition. Brent shut up. Tessa smiled. That terrifying predator smile. Excellent. I will have my legal team draft the new treaty. We can sign it tomorrow, after you have all had time to process what just happened, and to clean up the debris field. You are welcome, by the way. She turned to leave, paused at the door, looked back. Oh, and one more thing. The next time you try to intimidate a Deathworlder species, maybe make sure you can actually back it up. Just a suggestion. The door hissed shut behind her. I stood there, my sensory nodes still processing the emotional chaos in the room. Fear, anger, humiliation, grudging respect, and underneath it all something else, something that felt almost like relief. Because Tessa Wright was right, we had needed them to be weak. We had needed them to be controllable. We had needed them to fit into our comfortable, safe, predictable alliance. Instead, we got humans. And honestly, after watching 3 ships dismantle a Krellian battle fleet like it was target practice, maybe that was exactly what the Concordance needed. High Arbiter Ven slumped in his chair, all 4 eyes closing in sequence. Someone get me the files on human military capabilities. All of them. And someone explained to me how we missed the fact that they had stealth technology. They probably did not tell us, I said quietly. Ven looked at me. Why would they withhold that information? Because, I said, finally understanding, they knew we would try to take it, just like we tried to take everything else. Ven said nothing, but his silence was admission enough. Somewhere on the station, Ambassador Tessa Wright was probably celebrating with her crew, probably laughing, probably already planning the next impossible thing humans would do to remind us that the galaxy was bigger, stranger, and more dangerous than our carefully negotiated treaties pretended. And I found myself smiling. Actually smiling. Because for the first time in my diplomatic career, things were about to get interesting. The treaty signing was scheduled for 1400 hours station time, which gave everyone approximately 18 hours to panic, argue, send encrypted messages to their home governments, and generally lose their minds over the fact that humanity had just rewritten the entire power structure of the Galactic Concordance in under 20 minutes of combat. I spent most of that time in my quarters, reading. Specifically reading every scrap of intelligence we had on Earth, which was, to put it mildly, inadequate. Oh, we had the basics: planet designation, atmospheric composition, gravity rating, population estimates. But the details, the things that actually mattered, those were missing. Or worse, deliberately obscured. For instance, human history. According to our files, they had been spacefaring for 6 months, but their military coordination suggested decades of experience. Their weapons technology was at least 40 years ahead of anything we had seen from a newly contacted species, and their strategic doctrine showed a level of sophistication that came from actually fighting wars, not just simulating them. Someone knocked on my door. Actually knocked, with their actual appendages. Because of course humans would use physical percussion instead of the door chime like civilized beings. "Come in," I said, deactivating the privacy lock. Ambassador Tessa Wright walked into my quarters like she owned them. She was carrying 2 containers of some kind of beverage, steam rising from both. She held one out to me. "Coffee," she said. "Fair warning, it is probably too strong for your physiology, but I figured you could use something to keep you awake. You look exhausted." I took the container carefully. The heat radiated through the material in a way that was almost uncomfortable. "Thank you."
You are welcome.
I think. She smiled, pulled out my secondary seating unit and sat down without being invited. "I wanted to talk to you." Off the record, my sensory nodes perked up. This was either very good or spectacularly bad. "Why me?" "Because you are the only one in that conference room who was not actively trying to screw us over," Tessa said bluntly. I could feel it. The others were scared, angry, calculating. You were just processing, trying to understand. That is. I sipped the coffee. She was right. It was too strong. It tasted like liquid anxiety and burnt plant matter. I took another sip. "You can read emotions?" "Not like you can," Tessa admitted. "Humans are not empaths. But we are social creatures. We evolved reading facial expressions, body language, vocal tones. We get pretty good at sensing intent. And yours was curiosity, not hostility. Should I be flattered or concerned that you were analyzing me?" "Both. Always both. With humans." She leaned back in the chair, which made an alarming creaking sound under her weight. "Deathworlder bone density." "Right. But seriously, I wanted to explain something before tomorrow's signing, because I think you, at least, will understand." "Explain what?" Tessa was quiet for a moment, staring into her coffee like it held answers to questions she had not asked yet. "We are not trying to take over your concordance. We are not planning some kind of human supremacy crusade across the galaxy. We just want to be treated fairly." "You held a diplomatic station hostage and demanded council representation," I pointed out. "That is not exactly a modest request." "We saved a diplomatic station from being destroyed and asked for equal treatment," she corrected. "There is a difference." "Look, Kelvin, can I call you Kelvin?" "You already are." "Fair point. Kelvin, here is the thing about humans. We have been doing this dance for our entire history. Someone strong tries to exploit someone weak, makes demands, expects submission. And usually the weak submit because what choice do they have? But every once in a while someone refuses. Someone stands up and says, "No, we are not doing this." And everything changes. I took another sip of coffee. It was starting to grow on me. Or possibly killing me slowly. Hard to tell. "You are saying you are the ones who refuse." "Every single time," Tessa said firmly. "We had empires on Earth. Big ones. Powerful ones. They all thought they were permanent. They all thought conquest was inevitable. And they all fell eventually, because people refused to stay conquered. That is humanity's defining trait. Not violence, not aggression. Refusal. We simply will not accept that things have to be the way they are." "That sounds exhausting." "Oh, it absolutely is." She laughed, a sound that was surprisingly warm. "But it is also how we got to space. How we survived ice ages and plagues and world wars and climate disasters. We refused to accept limits. We refused to die quietly. And now you are bringing that attitude to galactic politics. Someone has to." Tessa set her coffee down, leaned forward. "You want to know the real reason we were so aggressive in those negotiations? It was not arrogance. It was pattern recognition. We have seen this before. Every treaty you offered us, every demand, every restriction. We have watched empires do this to each other for thousands of years. Start with unreasonable demands, make the other side feel weak, establish dominance, and once you have them locked in, you never let go. We were not going to let that happen. So you brought warships to a diplomatic meeting." "We brought insurance to a negotiation," Tessa corrected. "And it is a good thing we did because apparently the Krellians have no respect for diplomatic immunity." "That was fair. I had to admit that was fair." "Can I ask you something?" I said. feeling the coffee starting to do something strange to my neural chemistry. The Krellians. You destroyed half their fleet. You humiliated them. They are going to come back, probably with more ships. Definitely with more anger. Does that concern you? Tessa's expression went cold. Not angry cold. Clinical cold. The kind of cold that comes from someone who has thought about violence so much it has become mathematics. Let them come, she said quietly. We will be ready. We are always ready. That is terrifying. Yes, she agreed. It should be. But here is what everyone in the Concordance needs to understand. We did not come out here looking for fights. We came looking for friends, allies, trading partners, people to explore the galaxy with, people to share knowledge with. But if people want to fight us instead, we can do that too. We are exceptionally good at it, and we will not lose. My communicator chimed. Priority message from High Arbiter Vin. Probably something about tomorrow's ceremony. I ignored it. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why the honesty? Because you are going to be the representative on the Council Oversight Committee. Tessa said. I already checked, and I wanted you to hear this from me, not from rumors or intelligence briefings. Humans are dangerous, yes, but we are also loyal. Once you are our ally, genuinely our ally, we will go to war for you. We will share our technology. We will defend your borders. We will treat you like family, but you have to treat us the same way. No tricks, no manipulation, no trying to control us, just honest partnership. And if we cannot do that, then we will be polite neighbors who occasionally sell you things and definitely do not share our good stuff. She stood up, stretched in a way that made her spine make several concerning popping sounds. But I do not think it will come to that. I think once people calm down and stop panicking about the scary Deathworlders, they will realize we are actually pretty reasonable for terrifying murder machines. She headed for the door, paused with her hand on the panel. Oh, one more thing. Tomorrow, during the signing, there is going to be another incident, not a big one, but someone is going to try something stupid. When it happens, do not panic, we have it handled. What kind of incident? The kind where someone thinks they can assassinate a human diplomat and get away with it. She smiled. That teeth smile. They are going to learn an important lesson about human anatomy, tactical awareness, and why you should never bring energy weapons to a knife fight. The door closed behind her before I could respond. I sat there holding my coffee, my sensory nodes absolutely screaming with confusion and a strange kind of excitement. Tomorrow was going to be memorable. Tomorrow was going to be a disaster. Tomorrow was going to change everything. I finished the coffee. It was definitely killing me. But at least I would die awake. The signing ceremony was held in the Grand Assembly Hall, which could accommodate up to 300 delegates and featured enough ceremonial decoration to bankrupt a small planet. Every major species had representatives present. Media feeds from 47 worlds. This was history happening in real time. I stood in my designated position, trying to look diplomatic and not like someone who had consumed poison disguised as a beverage and spent the night reading conspiracy theories about human military capabilities. High Arbiter Ven stood at the central podium, all four eyes scanning the assembly with barely concealed nervousness. To his left, Ambassador Tessa Wright stood perfectly still, hands folded, expression neutral. She was wearing formal diplomatic attire, which, for humans, apparently meant a dark suit that looked simultaneously professional and vaguely threatening. Behind her, just visible in the background, were two other humans. Captain Rourke and Commander Lee, if I remembered correctly, both in military uniforms. Both armed. Because humans brought weapons to treaty signings and apparently no one had the courage to tell them not to. Distinguished delegates, Ben began. His voice amplified across the hall. We gather today to witness a historic moment, the formal admission of humanity into the Galactic Concordance under terms of equal partnership and mutual cooperation. This treaty represents. The shot came from Section 12, Upper Gallery, energy discharge, aimed directly at Tessa Wright's head. Everything happened very fast, and also very slow. Tessa moved, not flinching away. Moving toward her hand came up and suddenly there was a small device in it, something that looked like a pen but absolutely was not. A burst of light, a crackling sound, and the energy bolt simply stopped. Dissipate, absorbed into whatever the hell that device was. Captain Rourke was already moving, weapon drawn, targeting the gallery. Commander Lee was talking rapidly into a communicator, coordinating with station security. And Tessa Wright, the woman who had just been shot at during a diplomatic ceremony, just smiled. "There we go," she said, her voice calm, conversational. "Right on schedule." The assembly erupted. Delegates shouting, security scrambling, alarms wailing. Then it looked like all four of his eyes were about to detach from his skull. "Everyone calm down," Tessa shouted, and somehow her voice cut through the chaos. "The situation is contained. Captain Rourke, do you have the shooter?" "Affirmative," Rourke called back. "Section 12, Seat 84. Currently being restrained by station security. Appears to be Krellian operative. Poorly trained. Amateur hour." "Excellent." Commander Lee, threat assessment. "Clear, Ambassador. No additional hostiles detected. Recommend we continue with the ceremony. Show them we do not scare easy." Tessa turned to High Arbiter Vin, who was still processing what had just happened. "Shall we continue? I believe you were saying something about historic moments." Then stared at her. You knew this would happen?" "We had intelligence suggesting the Krellians might try something dramatic," Tessa said with a shrug. "Revenge for yesterday's humiliation. Standard asymmetric response. Honestly, I expected something more sophisticated. But I suppose when you are that angry, subtlety goes out the airlock." "You used yourself as bait," I said, unable to stop myself. "I used myself as a deterrent," Tessa corrected. "Now everyone knows what happens when you try to kill a human diplomat. You fail spectacularly in front of 300 witnesses and 47 media feeds. The Krellians just broadcast their incompetence to the entire galaxy. That is going to make future negotiations very interesting for them." She was right. I could already see it happening. The shock on people's faces turning to something else. Embarrassment for the Krellians. Awe at the humans. Fear. Respect. All mixing together into a complicated emotional cocktail that my sensory nodes could barely process. High Arbiter Vin took a deep breath, all four eyes closing briefly. When he opened them again, he looked different. Older. Wiser. Maybe just tired. "Let us continue," he said, "before anyone else tries anything creative." The signing proceeded without further incident. 17 species representatives came forward, one by one, and placed their marks on the treaty. Biological signatures, chemical imprints, electromagnetic patterns. All the various ways different species said, "We agree, this is binding." When it came to Tessa Wright's turn, she walked to the podium with the same confidence she had shown from the beginning. She picked up the human signing implement, a simple pen, and wrote her name in clear, precise letters. "On behalf of humanity," she said, her voice carrying across the now silent hall, "I accept the terms of this treaty. Equal partnership, mutual defense, reciprocal technology sharing, no species superior to any other, no exploitation, no domination, just cooperation among equals. That is what we came here for. That is what we will defend, and that is what we expect from every member of this concordance." She set down the pen, looked directly at the assembled delegates. "We did not come to the stars to conquer anyone. We came to meet our neighbors. We came to learn, to grow, to explore. But make no mistake, we came prepared. We came ready, and we came with the absolute certainty that we will never again be treated as less than we are. We are human. We are Deathworlders. And we are now your equals. Get used to it." The silence that followed was profound. No one knew how to respond. No one knew what this meant. No one knew what happened next. Then someone started clapping. I looked around, trying to find the source. It was coming from the Poltan delegation. 3 appendages, striking together in rhythmic appreciation. Then the Zelig joined in, their version of applause, a kind of harmonic humming. Then more. Then everyone, the entire assembly, every species, every delegate, making their species-specific sounds of approval. It was chaotic. It was beautiful. It was absolutely ridiculous. And Tessa Wright stood there, accepting it with the grace of someone who had always known this would happen. 3 hours later, I found myself in a quieter corner of the station, the diplomatic bar specifically, because apparently stress drinking was a universal constant across all known species. Tessa Wright sat across from me, nursing something amber-colored in a glass. She had ditched the formal attire for something more casual. She looked relaxed, happy even. "So," I said, sipping my third drink of something that definitely was not coffee, equal partnership, council representation, veto power over military action. You got everything you wanted. Not everything, Tessa said. I also wanted the station to have better coffee, but apparently that is not covered under the treaty. Tragic oversight. I laughed. Actually laughed. The emotional exhaustion was catching up to me. You know what the worst part is? You were right. About everything. We were trying to control you. We were scared of you. We wanted you weak and dependent. I know. And now we have to work with you as equals. Yep. That is terrifying. I get that a lot. Tessa took a drink, set the glass down carefully. But here is the thing, Kelvin. You are scared because you are thinking about what humans could do if we decided to be awful. But you are not thinking about what we could do if we decided to be amazing. We have medicine you have never seen. Agricultural techniques that could feed billions. Engineering solutions to problems you have been working on for centuries. Art, music, literature, philosophy. We have all of that, and we want to share it. We just want to be respected while we do it. And if someone does not respect you, then Captain Rourke gets to have fun, she smiled, but it was a gentler smile this time. Look, I am not saying humans are perfect. We are absolutely not. We fight among ourselves constantly. We make terrible decisions. We have more baggage than any species should reasonably carry. But we also have something important. We have hope, stubborn, irrational, probably doomed hope that things can get better, that the galaxy can be more than just treaties and trade routes, and everyone carefully avoiding conflict. We think it can be something bigger, something worth fighting for, and you are going to drag us all along for the ride. If you are lucky, she raised her glass, to equal partnership. May it be exactly as messy and complicated and wonderful as everyone fears. I raised my glass, clinked it against hers. To humanity, may we survive the experience. Oh, you will. Tessa drained her drink, set the glass down with finality. We are very good at keeping our friends alive. It is our enemies who should worry. 6 months later, everything had changed. The Krellian Confederacy collapsed after 3 more failed military operations against human vessels. Turned out, losing consistently to a numerically inferior force was bad for pirate morale. The remaining Krellian factions surrendered, requested mediation, and were currently in negotiations to join the Concordance as junior partners, under human supervision. The irony was not lost on anyone. Human technology sharing had revolutionized medical care across 17 species. Something about their understanding of protein structures and genetic adaptation. We were seeing cures for diseases we had considered terminal for generations. Human cultural exports were everywhere. Music, primarily. Apparently humans made sounds that triggered pleasure responses in almost every known auditory system. The current #1 hit across 43 worlds was something called jazz, which I still did not understand but found myself humming anyway. And the council. Oh, the council. Tessa Wright attended every session, asked uncomfortable questions, pushed for actual solutions instead of diplomatic delays, made everyone work harder, think clearer, be better. Half the council hated her. The other half were terrified of her. Everyone respected her. I had been promoted, junior diplomatic attaché to senior liaison, specifically assigned to human relations. My job was to translate between human directness and galactic diplomacy. It was exhausting. It was frustrating. It was the best position I had ever held. Currently, I was reading a proposal Tessa had submitted. Joint military training exercises between human forces and Concordance fleet. The goal was to share tactical knowledge, improve coordination, build trust. The real goal, which everyone understood but no one said out loud, was to make sure everyone else learned how to fight like humans. Just in case, because there were other threats out there. Other species. Other empires. The galaxy was bigger and more dangerous than we had pretended. And humans had reminded us of something we had forgotten. Sometimes the only way to maintain peace was to be very, very good at war. My communicator chimed. Tessa Wright, requesting a meeting. Something about a new proposal. Something about exploration beyond concordant space. Something about expanding humanity's role in galactic affairs. I smiled, because of course she had another plan. Of course she was not satisfied with what they had already accomplished. That was the thing about humans. They never stopped, never settled, never accepted that good enough was good enough. They demanded concessions, We offered submission. They offered us survival instead. And somehow, impossibly, wonderfully, that had been exactly what the galaxy needed. I accepted the meeting request, finished my coffee, human strength now, because I had apparently developed a tolerance for poison, and headed to the conference room. Whatever Tessa wanted, it was going to be ambitious. It was going to change everything. I could not wait. Because that was the thing about working with humans. They made you believe that impossible just meant not yet, that limits were suggestions, that the future could be bigger and brighter and more incredible than anyone dared imagine. They demanded we meet them as equals, and in doing so, they made us all better than we were. The door to the conference room opened. Tessa Wright stood inside, surrounded by holographic displays showing star charts, tactical readouts, resource estimates. She looked up when I entered, smiled that smile that used to terrify me and now just made me curious. "Kelvin," she said. "Good, you are here. I have an idea. You are going to think it is crazy. Is it?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Absolutely," she gestured to the displays, "but it is also brilliant. And if it works, it is going to reshape how we think about galactic exploration." I sat down, pulled up my datapad, prepared to take notes on whatever impossible thing humans were about to attempt. "Tell me everything," I said. And she did. And it was crazy, and it was brilliant. And 6 months after that it worked. Because of course it did. They were human,